How are we, Delilah? Are we running? Are we recording? It's 4 o'clock. All right. If I can have everybody's attention, we'll go ahead and get this meeting and get us going. Go ahead and call us to order. Delilah, you want to go ahead and go through roll call?
Commissioner Andrade.
Present.
Vice Chair Dominguez.
Present.
Chair Morton.
Present.
Commissioner Sales. Commissioner Vaughn.
Present.
Commissioner Chesnauskas.
Present.
Commissioner Selden. Thank you.
Excellent. Welcome to our new commissioners. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Excellent. Let's go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are we aware of any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the posted agenda have been made.
All right. Are we aware of any public comments? Are they linked? Are all the comments linked to our action items? Are there any?
Yes, sir.
Oh, they are. All right.
We've received 4 so far.
Okay. Great.
I will call the speakers up. We'll start with Nicole Franco, then go to Peggy Walker, Natalie Satoon, followed by Elena Thompson.
Hello, can you hear me? Good, okay. Thank you for the opportunity to address you today. It's our hope that this commission will have the power to enact safety measures along Highway 101 to prevent additional fatalities of pedestrians crossing the street. My name is Nicole Franco, and I represent hundreds, if not thousands, of people in our community who have been affected by the hit-and-run incident that killed Emily Hernandez on Sunday, January 19th. Emily was meeting her daughter for dinner at Nectarine Grove, approximately at 7 p.m. She parked along the dirt side of the street, as so many local residents do. There are no street lights, there are no crosswalks, no stop signs, and no warning signs to slow down for pedestrians. This particular stretch of Highway 101, both south and north of Leucadia Boulevard, is extremely dark at night. Even if alert and attentive, it's difficult to see pedestrians crossing the street. Please refer to some photos and video that I have submitted for reference. Emily had tripped over an uneven median and fell into the street. A witness had spotted her and pulled over to help in any way, and saw an oncoming SUV. It was this SUV vehicle that recklessly ran over Emily and then sped away, resulting in her death. Emily was an attentive mother of 3 young adults who we've watched grow up, a loyal friend, a devoted colleague, a woman of faith who exemplified kindness and generosity. Emily worked in fundraising for Scripps Hospital and formerly for UCSD that allowed her to build a network of the most influential and established families in our community and help countless families navigate difficult times in their lives. It makes sense that her death would be the pivot point to initiate safety measures on the very street that took her life. It's our hope this council has the power to install the following: proper street lighting along Highway 101. Perhaps proper lighting cameras could have identified the license plate of the hit-and-run driver. Crosswalks, large and prominent, with signage that has activated lighting when a pedestrian is needing to cross. Ideally, this should be a crossing bridge. Enforced speed limits, as drivers often speed in this area of Highway 101. And lastly, we request a marker with Emily's name, leaving a lasting memory of this beautiful woman and who she was in our community, that even in her death, she is still caring for the well-being of others in North County. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Chair Morton, Vice Chair Dominguez, and Commissioners. Thank you for your work. I'm Peggy Walker. I'm with San Diego Alliance for Drug-Free Youth. I know that some of you have heard us before. We've been around about 35 years serving the San Diego community. We are public health educators, and we're all about kids. We want to keep kids free from tobacco, alcohol, and marijuana and other drugs. So when we saw that tobacco, drugs, and alcohol were on the work plan, we were very happy to see that, and I came today to share some information with you, information only. Some topics that might interest you as you pursue this work plan through the year. The first handout is from the Sheriff's Department. In December, they held a press conference about not all, but some of the illegal intoxicating drugs that are being sold in gas stations, convenience stores, smoke shops, illegally. And this is just some of them, and you can see how they're oriented to kids. The second one is about nitrous oxide, which is in a spray can like you use for whipped cream. Well, now it has become something that teenagers are buying to get high on. And this will tell you about nitrous oxide. It's also sold in all of these retail outlets, and it is a very dangerous, intoxicating substance. The third one, marijuana ads are enticing kids to use weed. There are a number of studies that show billboards attract teenagers and are effective in getting kids to use marijuana. We have two of them in Leucadia. Walgreens and the Cake Box both have some. I didn't know that our city's signage laws permit them, but apparently they do. But I wanted you to know that they are attractive to kids. One of them says 25% discount. You can be judge for yourselves, but I would like you to know the impact they have on children. The fourth one is this one. This is the truth about vaping. We have Kelly McCormick in our organization. I know that James Morton has heard her speak. She addresses vaping, all the problems associated with vaping. She gives presentations to schools, and I know that she would be happy to give you a presentation if you would want to hear about vaping. And the last one, policies to help children. So thank you for your time, and I congratulate you and wish you well in this work.
Thank you very much.
Lois, I have some photos. Hi, Natalie Satoon Cardiff, and I'm happy to see our new commissioners. Thank you for stepping up. Some of these photos were taken, actually all of these photos were taken on Friday, and I wanted to talk to you about the work plan and how it relates with Encinitas. I am very concerned. I should have, if you can just flip through if you don't mind. Thank you. How it relates to Encinitas. These are acceptable fire safety standards according to an inspection that was done in April of 2024. So I'm very concerned with the threshold of California's safety standards. So I'm hoping that Encinitas can ramp up and exceed California's expectations or they're setting the bar, which is terribly low. And I've lived here for 13 years. I've always thought that my neighborhood in Park Place was not so susceptible to fires living on the coast. I've always thought given more precedence to a leave-behind to that area. But as far as something specific to my neighborhood is a lot of the EV owners are plugging into our garages in our HOA. The HOA pays for the electricity in the garages. And unless you install your own EV charger, you're using 50-year-old electricity to gauge into. And I know that there have been 2 recent home fires, if I'm not mistaken, Captain Gordon, related to an e-bike charger and an EV charger. So please be mindful in considering Park Place when you are thinking about the work plan. So I would just like to say, lastly, these are not safe standards for Encinitas, and I'm hoping that we can do better. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I think Elena?
Yes, Elena Thompson. And then we received one more from Molly Hintlian.
Hi, everyone. Elena Thompson. Welcome to the new commissioners, and thank you to the old commissioners, young old commissioners, for all of your time. So I've been monitoring this commission and your accomplishments from the last year. And one thing I'd like to urge you to do tonight, before you advance this work plan that you've been working on for the last couple months, since the last work plan started in March of 2024, and we're not even there yet, so you haven't had a full year to finish your accomplishments, and now there's new commissioners. So I think that these commissioners, with their participation, should be part of establishing the work plan versus just having to kind of swallow it and vote in favor of it tonight, so that the new people's concerns are duly represented. And I had concern over number 9 in particular, and that has to do with the helping the city out on the homeless action plan. The homeless action plan is a plan that was very unpopular when it was instituted in 2021 in the dark of the night of December during COVID. And the city clearly does need to readdress that action plan, but I think until the city does that, with the help of the fire and safety resources, the police, I'd like to see you guys push the pause on your involvement, because this is a highly specialized area and very sensitive, and the residents have huge concerns about the growing homeless in our town. We don't want to be a welcoming city to the homeless. And in fact, there's a petition now circulating with over 600 signatures. It's a change.org petition, and the residents are really concerned about the current policy that the city has relative to the homeless. So I would just urge you all to kind of slow it down, involve the new commissioners, make sure your work plan is a plan that you can truly accomplish and report back on those accomplishments, with 2 of your commissioners who basically quit/walked away in Q4 or Q3 of the commission last October and November. You had some gaps in coverage, and there were some absentees too. So I think it's great what is happening here, but I think you need to have more robust conversations, the public more involved, and the new commissioners involved in this work plan. And then tread very carefully on this homeless topic, because it's quite complex, and you're all appointed, and some of you are probably know a lot about the homeless situation, certainly Chair Dominguez with your past work effort as a captain of the fire department or sheriff. But it's a slippery slope. So let's focus on public safety in these situations that we have elsewhere. And I would encourage you to work with our other city commissions to see that you're all fulfilling on public safety. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm
Excuse
short.
me, Elena? Elena? We have a speaker. Please,
About me 30 seconds.
take your time.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Molly Hintley, District 2. Welcome, new members. I've been actively involved with City Council meetings and participating, and I think this year in particular, many more of our residents are super excited for the change and your involvement as well. I just read the strategic plan and I had some comments. I think it's great you have a plan because I didn't know there was one. The community outreach, I think it definitely needs more visibility. There's a lot of things that happen in the city that I'm a resident of 14 years, have been finding out later. As far as your specific goals, number 5, for your strategic goals, I have a concern when it comes to public safety and fire safety. And I think there's a lot of overlap in the mobility and traffic. And I just found in observance of last year and in prior years that perhaps the commissioners and commissions have been acting in a more of a silo strategic manner. And I think it's imperative now, and now that we have new council members, for us to have some overlap, especially when it comes to a big topic that touches other departments, such as traffic and mobility, because fire evacuation is a huge concern. I think we all have watched what happened in LA, and my biggest concern is Quail Gardens Drive. And that is going to be a huge concern if it's not addressed. And I think that from a public safety, our general plan is lacking something defining what the citizens need. So I look forward to your hard work and your capabilities to work on what's best for us citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That concludes public comment.
Okay. Let's see. Can you pull up the work plan? Let's see. So I went recently to several of the past meetings, and I'd like to take a takeaway from that and get a consensus on a comment that was made by the Deputy Mayor Joy when referring to our council, with the eye towards improving and considering what we did maybe not so good, what we want to do better, and what the perspective. The Deputy Mayor's comment was the same comment that she gave a year ago, which was she felt we were a commission that was finding itself. And to hear that a year later and that we're still finding ourselves was a concern for me, because I feel we need to be moving forward. What I've come to appreciate in this bureaucracy is that change is slow, which has been one of the first things I've come to adopt in this thing. So before we look at this, I'd like to open it up for a discussion briefly, if you're candid enough, the commissioners that were here for the last year, things that we feel we may have done well would be a place to start. Things that we believe are barriers to us doing better next year, with an eye towards, I know at the next council meeting, the mayor will be talking about us specifically will be bringing forward at least one thing that he would like to have inside, which relates to fire safety, right? So the two questions I'd like for maybe the next 10 minutes, if we could, those two questions. Ones we feel that we've done well, and things that we feel might be barriers to us doing better in the future as we look towards our work plan. So I'll be quiet for a second. Everybody on number 5? Let's see. Commissioner Vaughn?
Did I do it right this time?
You did. Only I didn't do it right. I agreed to call you Commissioner Dan, so Commissioner Dan.
So, so I think that with regards to the fire issue, I do think it's incredibly timely that we revisit fire. We had some progress last year. We had made the memo that went to City Council in Q2, sort of raising awareness about the short hose runs and need for more of an ISO standard engine back in my neighborhood of Leeuwenhoek. And I also want to really say that watch Chief Gordon take the helms of the fire department over the last couple of years and really dig into the fire evacuation risk with regards to Leeuwenhoek, engage the community, and really turn around the sense of collaboration between the community and the fire department. So huge kudos there. I think that with, the Palisades horrific fire, the issues with sort of running out of water supply, our antiquated water in Encinitas, that I do think that this year we should get some public hearings, some updates from fire.
If I could, just what we did well and barriers that we might be facing in order to do better.
I think you mentioned fire. So barriers is clearly the one meeting every 3 months is impossible to make progress, and trying to do these as special meetings, right? We wanted to do something in early January, and here we are in the end of February.
Thank you. Anybody else, things you felt that you've done well, barriers to maybe us implementing a change in 2025?
Yeah, I think I second that that sentiment that, we need to have more meetings and we need to have more scheduled and we need to have everybody participating. I think a big barrier has been that we've been, pretty much at half strength every meeting, right? That's been a big barrier, I think.
I'm sorry, what did you mean by half?
Well, our
Half strength.
commissioners are either gone
Attendance.
or they're not the attendance,
Yes.
or they actually quit.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
So
Yep.
yeah,
Thank you.
and so I think those are barriers to the work plan. Then I don't know. I just sometimes I guess it's part of the process of me learning how this all works. But and I've said it before that I just don't feel like we have clear direction from the council sort of on some of their, I know we're here to give them input, but we should also get some sort of a direction as to what's important to them, because I don't want to be spinning our wheels, right? So that's another issue that I thought to as a barrier. So what we did well, I think we really identified well the problems, because I think the problems in this city are very similar to other cities, in a similar situation. We've identified issues with kids and drugs. We've identified issues related to the homeless. We've identified issues related to crime downtown. We've identified issues related to communication to the public. And so, I think we did a fairly decent job of picking out what the salient issues are for the public. It's great to see more people here from the public, and I'd love to be able to, that we get an outreach, to bring more people in. So that's sort of what comes off the top of my head.
Love it. Thank you so much. Commissioner Lauren.
Yeah, regarding the mayor or deputy mayor's comments, I would definitely challenge that with, we need some direction if she's not, or he's not helpful with, or not happy with what we are bringing forward. I think there's a lot of motivated people on this commission with a wealth of experience. And I do think, some of the things we did well is identify some of that stuff, but I also think the community outreach, like when we've tried to do certain things and even just get, something that identifies who we are so we can have more interaction with the public, has been shot down, frankly. So understanding what we can do and what what they want us to do would be hugely helpful. I think that would be the biggest barrier I see, is the lack of direction. Public health and safety, that's a lot of things. And, being on the fire side, I definitely think seeing what happened in the Palisades and seeing it firsthand is eye-opening, and we're going to have to look at this differently. Unprecedented winds, infrastructure mishaps, nobody's immune to that. So we're going to have to use the community and work together. So I think there's a lot to be done, and I think we're on the right track for sure. But also, too, this isn't a commission that is able to say, like, hey, this is what we want to do, and then it gets done. Understand that we get to make suggestions, and that is all. So that's been something difficult, I think, for me to as far as the bureaucracy part's been a little bit difficult.
All right, thank you. And I think there was a hope from our new commissioners, over the top with hope, but a consideration that there were going to be a lot of ears today, so I'm going to actually challenge that and just give you a chance here. I would like to have, I'm sure you came for a particular reason. I'd like to give you a couple minutes to perhaps describe passion and reason for which you're here, and considerations. We're going to get you a chance to talk about the work plan later, so why don't we just stick right now, just maybe an introduction for everybody that may not have been able to be there. So just give you a couple minutes. But I'm going to ask in a training fashion to kill two birds with one stone, you got to sign in on the screen. So whoever signs in first, that's who I'll call in first. That's the process. Commissioner Vaughn will show you out, help you out.
Oh, you mean to speak?
Yes, that's right. There. All right. So I got Commissioner Scott, you're first up. Steve, thank you very much.
Thank you for everybody, all their nice comments and letting me be a part of this group. Living in Encinitas, I retired about 1.5 years ago, and I see walking through the city and talking to business owners, getting my exercise, my new program of trying to stay healthy after 23 years in the fire service, meeting people, seeing the needs of what's happening, walking down the alleys, the back streets that I haven't been able to do in my career. My career kept us extremely busy. Talking to people, these business owners, they have their concerns, and I've taken the bull by the horns in my neighborhood. I live close by and made some changes on my own with my neighbors, and with my education, my background in the fire service, and also was active in the union that I was a part of at our fire department. I understand some of the politics that go with this position, and I think I didn't realize what I realize now, that I understand more about this process of making change in the city than I thought. And I'd like to be a part of that group. I bring the fire service to the table, and I've supported propositions and candidates. I've been in the street. I've been a part of flu clinics, things like that. So being a community member and also spending time in the community, doing things. My wife, she runs. She's a marathon runner. We're part of Wounded Warriors, things like that. We're active. Our kids are growing up, so we've got all kinds of time. So those are some of the reasons why I'm here.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, I didn't see you sign in yet, so. Does it? There we go. You will be in 1 second. My son is texting me. You now have my full attention, please. Put your microphone on. There you go.
Okay, sorry. I'm Harriet Selden, and I'm new to this commission, but I'm not new to community and board service. And I was previously served a decade or more ago on the city's environmental commission. And at the time, what I was interested in was something we're doing now is having the combined, the green bins, you know, having compostable waste recycling. So that was something I was interested in. I'm a dentist, and I've been involved with health policy kinds of things and collaborative groups at the city and working at the city, state, and national level on different items. And when I saw that this new commission is called Public Health and Safety, but I didn't really see public health in a large sense, I thought, well, why don't I put my name in? And so one of the hats I wear is I'm active with the county's Health Services Advisory Board. And so I thought that there's a lot of collaboration that could be done between us and them, even though I know that the city doesn't cover health, but we work with the county, and the county has health, and there's a lot of activity in the past year or two that it's not the same county as it maybe used to be. And not that they were bad, but I think they're much more proactive in things. And I saw that some of the things that we've been looking at here are things that other cities in the county and the county itself is doing. So I hope that we could use them as a resource. So that's what I bring to this, to look at a larger sense of public health.
Excellent. Thank you very much. If I may, I'll summarize my takeaways and my own thoughts to the deputy mayor and what she had to say. And your comments resonate with me as well. I feel we have been stymied by the lack of a monthly meeting schedule for our planning, for our discussions. I feel we've been stymied by lack of direction. We were left with the thought that we were smart people and that we would figure out what we're doing. We are presenting a work plan to the council. It is not our work plan. It's that we've come up with without any direction from the council on what we think matters are important to us, what we've heard from the city, things that we'd like to take interest. We are all members that come with professional skill set and personal desires to make certain changes. And I think our work plan reflects that. I think it will definitely benefit from a input from council on how they would like to leverage our expertise on an issue that is of a concern for them, right? I think I can imagine a role of a commission is to help council make better decisions. One of the barriers that I've had to struggle with and come to understand is that this is not a position of authority. This is a position of influence. Very strange, right? And I had my friend who's a high school civics teacher had to explain that to me. It's no less important what I do, in a position of influence, but I'm not in a position of authority here, right? So we're in a position of influence. So trying to come to terms to understand that. And then finally, I think what we have done well and good is listen to people that have come, provide a forum for people that have issues that are a concern that need to be elevated and heard. And I'm proud of what we did with the on-the-spot recommendation for the Lee 9 fire. And I think we've put together a draft work plan that reflects very ambitious goals, and reflects also what I understand to be that it's very comfortable to think of problems in our lives as puzzles. And I've talked about this before. Puzzles are very convenient because puzzles have a solution, puzzles have an answer. In fact, many of the problems, however, that we deal with in the world are not puzzles. they're actually mysteries. Mysteries don't have a defined solution sometimes. Sometimes mysteries are just making the best decisions based on what we have and resources what we have. And I think this work plan clearly identifies problems, and it's a mystery on how we can end and stave all those things. But it's a mystery that this, we are coming together to try to prove. So, that being done, I would like to, we've looked over this work plan. Are there any outstanding are there any glaring changes that need to be made to this as we look over this? And so I'll open that up for kind of discussion. I mean, the quickest way through this might be going through this top and saying, are we good with that? So in an effort to actually go quicker than that, right, I'm going to entertain maybe a 5 to 10 minute discussion about like, okay, I like this, but this would be the one thing I would change from everybody. And then if there's actually a consensus that we can do this in like 10 minutes, that would be fantastic. But then if we come to a realization that there's actually more things for us to work through, then we would go.
Have I
right?
requested to speak, or is that, because I'd like to, but I'm not sure I did it right.
No, you're correct. I will call on you in the order. Right now, Vice Chair, I am actually trying to figure out how to delete people that have
can I
already
see that?
spoken.
Yeah.
So if I could get some instruction from somebody on how to click this button correctly, I'd really appreciate it. Because I'm trying to delete people that have previously spoken and I can't figure out how to do it.
Can the public speak again? Maybe help out?
No.
Maybe double click.
We can ask people to withdraw request. That'll do it.
But yeah, but I should be able to. Commissioner Vice Chair, you're recognized next while I try to figure this out. Thank you, Harriet.
I think when you just double click it and it might go away. Because you got the first one away. Okay, anyway, maybe right click.
We're just going to have to try to make do without using the document. Go ahead, Commissioner Vice Chair.
Okay, when I looked at this a couple of days ago, I thought of an idea to try to streamline it a little more. And it seems like there's some areas that they almost sound the same. So like number 1 and 2, I think 2 is a great, it covers it all. It's talking about participating in outreach, maybe put in public safety outreach events, but they're basically the same.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you see that?
Any glaring thing that you either want to add or take off?
I would just take 1 away.
Okay. All right.
That's what I would do. But
Second.
Well, let's get a running list of what that
okay.
is.
And then I think in the same vein, number 6 seems to be a duplicate of number 2, because it's outreach. I mean, maybe we'll look at that. And 10 also is sort of a duplicate. So I think somehow we need to probably combine 2 and 10. That's what I'm thinking. So 1 and 2 are duplicates, combine 2 and 10 somehow. And then I think under special projects, the top part of number 12 looks like it's a duplicate of number 5. Anyway, I'm just trying to streamline it because
Could you scroll that up? Number 12 looks like number 5.
the top part, just the top portion of number 12.
If you could scroll down to number 12. I said scroll up. I meant scroll down.
Yeah, the share public education to the community regarding fire safety.
I support removing
Yep.
the first sentence from number 12.
First sentence from number 12 would be something we consider, okay? Harriet, what's on your mind?
Just one simple thing in strategic goals 4. What I would suggest is that after where it says, it says fire department, and I take the and off after that, county sheriff's department, comma, and county health and human services agency. So that's added as a resource.
Okay. Okay. So add Health and Human Services. Commissioner Lauren, do you have any?
I do.
Okay.
I think that, when we talk about number 5, when it talks about streamline and optimize resources and tools for effective public safety measures, I think we should throw in large-scale incidents that they're discussing, and something more so to community outreach. And so there's awareness of evacuation plans and/or safety zones within the communities. So something just, instead of just effective public safety measures, but more pointed towards large-scale incidents.
Can you give me so large-scale?
Incidents like a wildland fire, like a Palisades incident.
And that's not covered currently when it says include information?
It says optimize resources, effective public safety measures, but I think it's just more general, it's more broad. I think we should address that, because it's a lot of coordination that needs to happen, and especially when we're talking about evacuation routes and how that needs to happen and what people need to have. It's a very chaotic time, so I think having something where we're addressing that ahead of time.
Okay. So we'll look at number 5 and sort of improving.
Would it be possible in the second sentence to include the large scale?
Yeah, and I think 5 and 7 could probably be combined there as well.
So like specific attention from number 7, specific attention paid to large-scale fires and include information, or large-scale incidents, including information and community outreach updates on flood and fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like 5. Yeah. So those, okay. So we'll look at that as well, 5 and 7 for just kind of inferring. And then Commissioner Scott. Steve, thank you so much for your patience. Green light, please.
I agree, a little bit, it needs to be streamlined without, most of the topics been addressed, just to keep it a little bit more simpler, but some of it's a little bit redundant, especially some of the education. Some of these could be morphed with one another in education regarding evacuations, big-scale things, also with some of the drugs, alcohol.
Okay. And then Commissioner Harriet, Commissioner Steve, did you have particular things that you might like to add to the work plan in your consideration that you looked at in time to?
I'm just kind of wading into the pool here, and I just did
Wade on in.
my 3 words in here,
Okay.
County Health and Human Services Agency, to add
Yep.
that to it.
And that works for you? Okay.
Yeah.
I came really to be all ears to see what the direction of this committee is.
Okay.
It's nice to have a formulated agenda, but, I would have spent more time just using this as an example of, like, how do we morph this into a simpler strategic plan? Are we as a collective group dividing and conquering on these topics? Or are we all as one? I don't know. I know what I can bring to the table. We have a sheriff here, we have fire service, we have health, so personally, I like to have a task. I like to have a vision. I like to talk to the chief and, have to make a relationship there. So I'm hoping to kind of get set free so I could jump into my direction.
Yeah.
But I also am I've been a part of a group, I've been a part of a team. I know how the team works. But I think when you have an agenda that has quite a few things on it in a fiscal year, I think dividing and conquering is something that needs to possibly happen to actually have a good outcome. So
Excellent.
that's my 2 cents.
I just had another
Yeah.
thing on that. The process I went through with at the county recently, there's updating strategic plan, and there was a facilitator. Do we have access to someone to help us with that?
We have Lois, and Lois will guide and direct us, and here's some direction for you guys, new. Any communication we have, we copy Lois on it so she knows what's going on.
Okay. so
She's our liaison, and I'll give her a chance to speak for herself right now.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say this is a strategic plan. I would say these are more objectives and tasks for the commission to work on.
Yeah, yeah.
I figured out how to get your name off there.
Oh,
The person that requests to speak needs to do that. So you withdraw your request.
really?
So you just
thought I
withdraw
got
your
to-
request.
But I
No,
thought-
you do that.
Yeah,
You
but
have
yeah,
to do
he
that.
said it right. I thought I got to delete the
There you go.
people.
There you go. Now Vaughn, Commissioner Vaughn needs to do the same. Unless
you
he's
waiting to
ready
speak or no?
Yeah, I deleted myself once and then added myself back to get at the bottom of the queue.
It's all craziness. I'm educated way beyond my knowledge. It's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think for me, I'd like to incorporate in number 9 the 3 recommendations that came out of the homeless action plan, the ad hoc committee's report that the commission recommended. So I'd like to just include those 3 as sort of sub-bullets in number 9. And
Those were our 3 action items that we requested as a result of the 2024 work plan, correct? That's what we're talking
at
about?
the end of the 2024 work plan, we reported out, and there was 3 recommendations. One of them was to update the homeless action plan, which is sort of what's kind of the carryover from last year. One of them was to implement the Built for Zero methodology. So that's the by name list and the case count conferencing for folks experiencing homelessness. And the third one is, homelessness is a housing problem. So how do we address the housing part of that? And what we talked about was a pilot shared housing model for the housing authority. Work with the housing authority to see if we can't pilot something in the shared housing space.
Could we summarize that by just saying, taking into account the recommendations in the 2024 work plan, going forward, adopt what the recommendations were in 2024, the work plan?
Sure.
It's basically what we're asking, right?
Yeah, implement the
Yeah,
homelessness recommendations of the,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think that's nice, concise. So what I understand this to be is our draft that we're going to send to the city council. City council has asked us to, be smart people and figure out what we're doing. The comments that we got back from all of us is we've asked city council to be very clear about what do you want us to work on and what don't you want to work on. And that's the way it worked before, right? So the expectation is that we're going to make recommendations on what we're going to talk about, what we think is important to us as a commission, and what we think is good. At the end of the day, what we do and what we don't do and what we pay attention to is going to be what the city council tells us to do, right? We're here to help them, right? And so that's kind of where we're going on. So I think that's, the city council has set a high watermark for us. I mean, they've been meeting 5 hours, 6 hours. So I think we can bust through what we got going on pretty quickly as I take in notes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Commissioner Vaughn?
Yeah. So the other thing that I wanted to address was number 12,
Okay.
which is fire. So if we remove the first sentence, as Vice Chair has suggested, maybe we rework the second sentence to make it less about Olivenhain and more about lessons learned from the Palisades disaster and the city's preparedness for, God forbid, something like that here.
So we're going to start at the top, right? And then I'll work our ways down, and when we get down to that, I think that's the way we're going to go, right? So the feeling was first 1 and 2 were perhaps duplicates. So I'll entertain ideas on what we can do to come up with
I
language.
think the suggestion was to eliminate 1.
Yep. The only reason I would suggest not doing that was just by paying attention to the other commissions and what they had done. They had actually wound up outlining specifically what city-sponsored events and community events they did attend. So that's what I, rather than saying,
So just to remind you from background,
Yeah.
in December, we talked about, we'd asked Vice Chair and myself to come back with alternate wording for number 1.
yeah,
And we came back with the alternate wording in number 2.
yeah.
So I would suggest eliminating 1, and if you want to tweak our alternate wording in 2, tweak our alternate wording in 2.
Thank you for getting me where you needed me to be. Entertain, so that's a motion. Do we need to do motions on this, or can we? Thank you very much. All right, so moving forward, the draft, everyone kind of comfortable with that? Yeah? Okay.
Comfortable with what?
Deleting number 1 and just going with the new language as it's listed.
If I could just say maybe just if you're concerned about identifying city-sponsored and community events, you can just add that in number 2. Just say participate in city-sponsored and community events and public safety outreach events and some, just put that line in there if you want.
Could we do that? Could we go to city-sponsored, community events and public safety outreach events, comma?
I believe that the public safety outreach events was meant to be inclusive of city-sponsored or non-city-sponsored or community or whatever.
Yeah.
So that we didn't get the issue where we had last year where we weren't supposed to go to the Allevian Fire.
Lois, can you input?
Fair.
Am I going to be hamstrung like I was last time if I go with public safety outreach events?
I think if you only choose participate in public safety outreach events, you are limiting yourself to only public safety events,
Thank you.
which means you can't go to the parks, recreation, and cultural arts events.
Add community. Maybe we can just add community events in there as well as a general catch-all.
That's
Well, city-sponsored or not, right?
I think it's being specific helps for us. It's very good. So I'm going to recommend participate in city-sponsored, community events, public safety outreach events, and facilitate dialogue about how to improve public health and safety priorities. So we're going to try to put in all 3 of those. There was a thought that after looking at 2 and 10, that there might be a way to consolidate. I don't know if that still resonates because 2 doesn't really talk about inviting speakers.
I think it's 6 and 10.
Thank you. So the more inclusive would be to go with 6. Am I thinking about that correctly, as you guys would too? What's more inclusive, or
You might need to generalize 6 like you just did for.
okay? So sort of like the different organizations, right? What's a great catch-all for invite speakers from different organizations? We could say from relevant public health and safety organizations. That's more of a relevant.
And I'm assuming we would invite them to speak on more than just the services they provide, right?
Yeah. just throwing it out there, there's been a lot of talk and discussion in the community about tobacco, drugs, alcohol among the youth. There's potential where city council sees that specifically and they get behind us as a particular initiative, right? So while it does look it's redundant, but since it's a draft, it might be just a chance for city council to identify it as a real goal for us. It is also a new item. Just throwing that out there as a contrary, not holding any particular position, just a different idea.
Yeah, as it relates to number 10 and 11, I think that we ought to keep those two just as they are, because those are definitely issues that we hear over and over again and see ourselves. And I think, we need to have some attention brought to that and focus on that.
Okay.
And number 6, I think, is something different, because we could have somebody from, from the homeless action. What's the group here at the city? It's the homeless.
And let me actually just correctly. Do we really want them speaking at commission meetings? Yes, commission meeting, not council meeting. That's correct. Sorry to interrupt.
No. I'm just saying there's lots of different speakers that we would benefit from hearing from.
All right.
I think we should just leave that alone. But.
I'm leaning towards that way. Is there anybody that's strongly about absolutely taking out 6?
I'm not opposed to 6. I do note that we don't seem to have the mental health issue that was significant, and there was at some point a discussion of a mental health fair in May, and I don't see where that's in our work plan as it stands.
Well, that's recommended as an action that it's going to take, and if we get directed by city council, I think that's how that moves forward. Like both, and ideally, both these documents are being sent at the same time, and there's going to be direction given from the council on what we do and what we don't do, right?
I'm sure the council give us direction, but wouldn't we want to put in the 2025 work plan the intention to have a mental health fair in May, if we intend to have a mental health fair in May?
I asked about that, and the fact that it's in our outcomes for 2024, it's aligned, right? We don't need to spell it out specifically, is how we're kind of proposing it, right?
I'm very confused. It sounds like it would be just dropped.
You can mention it in your calendar year 2025 work plan.
Which is that's the document you're talking about right now? Okay. Where would that be the best place to put that, Dan?
Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable trying to speak for Commissioner Robin, but I think that maybe under special projects, it would be a new number. Hold a mental health awareness fair, or facilitate the mental health awareness fair. And it's also a question is this something that we want to take on as a commission, right? When Molly was on the commission and it was a driver of it along with Robin, there was quite a bit of momentum from it. Now we've got 2 new commissioners, and I guess it's an active question. Is that something that we still want to take on?
I'm leaning towards leaving that with the 2024 action plan recommendations. And today's meetings discuss the 2025 work plan. And if we get to that, we'll get to that. I'm open to comment section. Maybe I'm being too crafty, but I think it's implied that we've made recommendations from the 2024 plan with recommendations for 2025, and so it's there. I'd like to move on to, for now, just tabling things that we need to change on what we've talked about. But it's noted that what's not here right now currently. We got an hour, right? And so we'll come up with language.
Chair
We
Morton,
get down to that.
if I could recommend language for that, you would, if we wanted to do a mental health fair in May, that would have to have participation with city staff, possibly other organizations around us. So I don't know how feasible it would be to have it in 2025. The recommendation for the calendar year 2025 work plan would be to work with city staff to make a 2026 mental health fair, as we did not specify a calendar year for the mental health fair.
That feels very disappointing.
Pace of city.
Can you say what you're recommending again to add to this, Lois?
It would be to work with city staff and partnering organizations for the mental health fair as recommended by the commission in the calendar year 2024 public health and safety work plan outcomes.
Okay. Everybody feel okay with that? Anybody against having that?
Should
adding
we
that?
generalize that to work with city staff to implement the 2024 outcomes work recommendations?
And that, by saying implement, we have the expectation, what happens by doing that?
We do as much as we can as fast as we can.
Thank you. Yeah, Harriet?
Well, I think that it's good to have an event, but doing an event is a big deal. I was involved with Encinitas Environment Day a couple of times, a few times, and one like a lot of time. And it's a separate thing having a community event than this other stuff. So if we're going to do that, we need to have a lot of buy-in by our group, but other things and staff. And it's like, where is it? And I don't know if it's a fair of some kind. What is in there? Is it only mental health? Is it other things that this commission does? I just think it's a big deal to do something, and then you can have different booths and different agencies presenting at it that you can go to. How do we restrict it, or how do we expand it, or what do we do? Because it's a big deal when you have an area and you set up something. So it's something I think we should be doing, but the question is how many things are in it and when do we do it? And let people know that haven't that it's a big deal to do an event.
I think you just did a very good way of explaining why our expectation should be having this event in 2026 if it actually gets approved by City Council. So thank you for that. It helped me very much. I really appreciate that. Dan, you were asking for additional language. So what were you going to add on that?
I believe Lois suggested that we specify the mental health fair as a recommendation coming out of our 2024 work plan that we were going to work to implement. Mm-hmm. And I was suggesting generalizing that to the recommendations from the 2024 work plan more generally.
Yeah. Can we go with that? I think that was the intent of what I was trying to get to. Thank you. Yeah? Everyone good? Okay. Because we're still got other things to go on to. But yeah.
I just had something on 4 too, when it talks about coordinating between the commission, fire department, sheriffs. What about also when we were talking about direction, other commissions as well, and what they're covering versus what we're supposed to be covering? Because I feel like for example, when we were recommending the shuttle, and we were, kind of, Marlon put a lot of effort and energy into researching that, and there was actually that's already being done, that type of thing. So what are the issues that they want us to deal with, and what are other commissions? So if there's a way for us to, kind of put the nail on the head with that, because again, public health and safety is a lot.
Right. And so what I'm hearing you say is there's a lot of siloing going on, and we're a new commission, and there's many public safety and issues that are already being covered by different commissions, and working collaboratively and really finding out who whose ball and who court it really belongs with has been actually one of the things too that I think we can speak about has been sort of a hurdle for us trying to move forward, right? Like we're this
Absolutely.
new venue where other issues are already there. So that's a third thing I'll bring to City Council for just that. So what language would you like to add to that, if you could?
Between the commission or all of the commissions of Encinitas, like somehow coordination between the commission and the other commissions or something like that to include, because right now it's just talking about our commission, right? So the commission, other Encinitas commissions, fire department, that type of thing, just so that we're not, duplicating work.
Right. Did you get that, Lois?
Would we want to put the other commissions after the Sheriff's Department?
And we already put in County Health and Human Services Agency, that was there.
Yep.
And maybe the homelessness response team?
Sure. Let them parse out, them being council, parse out what they do or don't want with our recommendations. The next note I have, I think we've covered 1, 2, 4. I've seen 5 and 7. Maybe there was a chance to pull those two things together, right? We're going to add language around large-scale events. Commissioner Lauren, that was you, right? For 5 and 7? Or was it Commissioner Alex?
No, I said streamline, optimize resources. I was saying for the large-scale incidents, and then maybe including, just public safety measures, including large-scale incidents. And then, you could also say, and identify resource gaps, because it's saying streamline and optimize resources and tools, and identify resource gaps and gaps in service could be in that same number 5 as well.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to say that again.
No, it's fine.
And I'm going to ask, we just need to do a better job of speaking to the microphone for IT. So,
Sorry.
I don't know if that's you specifically.
Sorry.
That's just sort of a global request for everybody. So,
I'm much better in taking a minute to actually look and read and write, but I'll
Yeah.
do the best I can. So streamline and optimize resources and tools for effective public safety measures, including large-scale incidents. And then for identify resource gaps, I think that could probably go just right after on fire, flooding, and police, identify resource gaps and services available.
yeah. So
Just
we're thinking
there.
about just taking line 7 and just adding that as the last line for item 5, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And include the large-scale events.
Yep. Lois, do you feel confident on what we're asking for there?
So I added including large-scale incidents as requested in the first sentence.
Mm-hmm. And then you have in item 7, you have identify resources and gaps in services available to the community. Just cut that and put that as the final sentence in strategic goal 5 right after
Yes.
police.
She's
I did
got
that.
Perfect. Yep, and we'll strike 7. Okay. I have notes about 9 and 3 here. I don't think those two things are related. My note might not be very well.
No, it
I
was
think
not.
we're happy with 9, with 3 certainly.
I just put in to speak to 9 if we get to that.
You want to speak to 9? Mm-hmm. Feel free.
Yeah. There were
Into the
Speaker.
microphone, please, and you need to be green.
off and on at the same time. Okay.
It's very
I think there
ridiculous.
were a lot of public comment and this stuff in the air about the homeless plan. So I don't know if that means that there's things that need to be taken out of it, added to it, changed in it, something, but I just wanted to put out there that there's enough in the air about that part of it that we should be seeing, is there something that we want to change about that item?
So we have a request to put in, implement our recommendations of the 2024 work plan. Dan knows it a little bit better than mine off the top of my head. However, our recommendation was to, the last action plan was very well phased out, and we're actually asking for an improved, like, that they update the homeless action plan in the 2024. So we're, by already putting in that we're implement our recommendations for the 2024, we're actually asking them to consider updating the homeless action plan because it's antiquated.
So that addresses that.
Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, I think the vision would be that we would work to provide public comment from affected individuals, et cetera, so that you're trying to build consensus in the new homeless action plan. So take 2025, or at least the first couple quarters of 2025, to really try to do some work to build consensus with the community and let people have their voices heard. We heard last year that the Sheriff's Department had done an outreach event in Cardiff where they brought together, partnered with the 101 there, and brought together the community to speak to the pain points. What are the issues from homelessness where the community was most adversely affected? You know, can we do that in other communities in 2025 as part of this? That kind of thing.
Did that address? Did we, into the microphone, please?
I just want to make sure that we're addressing the community, addressing the public. And so
Yes.
if we have this item here that we're looking to update it to meet the response from the community, if things have changed, whether things that we did too much, did we do not enough, is it a different issues now? I just want to make sure that we're looking to speak to it, maybe changed environment, that's all, if it is.
So are the things that you're saying, is that covered where it says make possible recommendations? I think that's what you're saying. Good or bad, right?
It may be fine. I'm just
Yeah.
saying this because I hear things in general, and there were a bunch of people here that have left who were kind of talking about that. So I just want to make sure that that was addressed, that's all. Maybe it is. Maybe this is fine.
Well, my hope is that it is addressed. My concern is that it isn't. So if there's different language that would be better clarification, like, I'm open to that. And so but I also think that make possible recommendations is pretty good, but I'm open to other improvements.
So just for the record, number 9 was last year's goal?
Yeah,
As written?
correct. Okay. That's the notes I have, and I think the language that we came up with around implement our 2024 recommendations, that covers the concern about the health fair. But let's open that up because we got time. It's a large ask. We, as a commission, agreed to participate in doing it and bring it together. It's a lot of work. So is that something that the commission is still behind? And so what it is working towards establishing a public fair during the Mental Health Awareness Month in the month of May. Much as, Harriet, as you described, it would be multiple vendors, lots of participation, and an annual community event. And I think when they talked about the environmental fair that happens, it was somewhat synonymous. So I guess we got some time here to talk about, you guys interested in taking that on or not taking that on? So go by green light. So whoever puts a green light on. Go ahead, Commissioner Lauren.
Just for clarification, are we talking about 2026? I think it's to be a heavy lift to do it for this May.
Well, that's it. I mean, it
But
can't happen
I
in
think it'd be
2025.
amazing, and I think there's a lot of parallels that come into mental health, homelessness, drug, alcohol, all the things. So, and it's obviously an issue, for sheriffs and fire on a daily, regular basis. So, not to mention, I know for me personally, having a teenager and junior high, it's definitely having more resources available. I think would be great. But I also think it'd be kind of neat to combine, have it as something where we're doing an outreach thing as well. And it's our thing, kind of like Commissioner Harriet mentioned. I think it'd be, I would support it.
All right, lots of work. Into the microphone, please.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Just coming off the.
I really mean into the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Just to add what Lauren's saying, mental health and this health fair is huge. There is just so many different areas in mental health. This could be a year-long fair.
Mm-hmm.
So with the resources that we need to have to make this successful, to make it look like we really did our homework, to really make the impact on the community, I think there needs to be a certain amount of topics or groups within this health fair that we stick to. Because, I mean, you could take mental health into gun violence. I mean,
my question specifically is understanding the scope of it, is that something that you would support and be willing to do the work and live, and
yes,
you're excited
as
about
long as
participating?
It's achievable.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it, because we really need to have, again, some direction on what the needs of the city are, what do they want to hear, in mental health.
Yep.
So.
Lovely. Thank you. No double dipping until everybody else gets a chance to talk. Anybody else? Is your silence like you're not going to participate?
I would really
or?
like to hear Robin's views on this also, since she is, she kind of opened this up as part of, her passion, right? So
Robin's behind doing the work in order to get this done.
Okay.
That's really kind of the question that's on the
And
table.
I'm totally behind it, helping it.
All right, great.
Helping it happen.
All right.
I'm happy to help, don't want to lead.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you're in, Harriet?
Yeah, I just don't know.
Into the microphone, please. It's okay.
I don't know what's going to.
Of course.
The whole topic of wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And
Your microphone got off again. Sorry.
tone there.
Yeah.
That there's so many pieces to this. At some point, we'll have to figure out how to limit it and who the vendors would be.
Yeah. So much things come across in the last week is defined. What we are is often somewhat more defined by what we're not. And I think that's what you're asking. Like, what this health fair is needs to be sort of parsed out and really defined by what it's not, right? Otherwise we can get overwhelmed.
We're using different terms here.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard mental health fair, I've heard health fair, and then I've heard some specific items.
Right.
So
I think the guideline is to fall in line with Mental Health Awareness Month in May. So I think the topic would certainly be, the fair would be mental health fair. But again, open to interpretation and people participating.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there's, enthusiasm despite two of the members leaving from the previous council to actually move it forward. So I think that's worthwhile discussion. Lois, you give me a nod. Do we have a work plan draft that we can give to the city council?
I mean, do you want to look through top down and make a motion to approve afterward?
I never know when we have to make an emotion and when we don't have to make a motion, so.
You have to make a motion to finalize the
draft.
edits and changes.
Draft. Okay. I'm happy to start at the top and look down and just kind of review the changes that we've made, right? So you want to run us through them? The first one's easy.
So the first stated goal we have is participate in city-sponsored community events and public safety outreach events and facilitate dialogue about how to improve public health and safety priorities. The second task we have is encourage the Sheriff's Department to produce and/or provide crime prevention videos targeting current public safety concerns to be distributed on all City of Encinitas social media platforms.
Clarifying question?
Sure.
Is the new intended to be part of the thing, or can we delete those two news?
I can remove them. I just wanted to let the commissioners know which ones were added new from the previous calendar year. We changed the category to strategic goals, where we have report strategies that promote cooperation and encourage coordination between the commission, fire department, and county sheriff's department, homeless response team, other city commissioners, and other entities, public and private, who are involved with community safety activities and efforts. Action number 4, streamline and optimize resources and tools for effective public safety measures, including large-scale incidents, include information and community outreach updates on fire, flooding, police, identify resources and gaps in services available. For action number 5, invite speakers from different organizations from relevant public health and safety organizations on what services they provide to speak at a commission meeting.
Lois?
Yes.
I saw Harriet.
Yeah, what happened to when we added in the County Health and Human Services Agency after Sheriff's Department? That was in 4, that disappeared?
Thank you very much. Good eye. Yeah. We'll add that.
So
HHS. That's the correct acronym, right?
It's County Health and Human Services Agency, but we're I thought in here it was 4, but isn't it?
It's now number 3.
It's now number 3. Okay, let me see. So it would be after Sheriff's Department or before Sheriff's Department. Both are county Sheriff's Department, and then County Health and Human Services Agency.
Thank you, Harry. That's great.
And I'm just wondering if we can make that a little bit less wordy, because
We can. This is the time.
It seems to be a really long section.
Is our goal to report anything? Report's a weird word there.
Possibly develop or
Yeah, develop or
develop
implement.
strategies, and then when it says and other entities, public and private, who are involved with community safety, can we just say, I mean, I feel like we covered
And
most of
other
them.
entities
And-
as needed?
Yeah, as needed, yeah. And do we need to say who are involved with community safety activities and efforts?
I don't think we do.
Yeah.
It's a little, yeah?
Better?
Okay. I think you're on 4 or 5, Lois?
So number 5, we have invite speakers from different organizations from relevant public health and safety organizations on what services they provide to speak at a commission meeting. 6, promote.
Hold. On 5, it sounds a little bit redundant, right? Invite speakers from, and then I think you can delete the next 3 words.
Yeah,
Relevant
there's 2
public
froms,
health
right?
and-
You could get rid of, yep. Do we need the relevant there as a clarifier?
I don't know.
We're not going
Either
to, we're
way.
not going to ask irrelevant people to come. So I think we can just get rid of relevant. Yeah.
So to confirm, I have invite speakers from public health and safety organizations on what services they provide to speak at a commission meeting. Number 6, provide or promote education, prevention, and
So
access.
instead of at a, just say during. Speak during. And you
number-
can get rid of a. You can say during commission meetings. Yep.
Number 6, promote education, prevention, and accessible resources. Number 7, support, review, and make possible recommendations on city's homeless action plan and work to reduce homelessness. We added a subcategory here called tobacco, drugs, and alcohol among youth, where we have action item number 8, identify and invite speakers to address the commission from local private organizations and public entities dedicated to reducing the use of tobacco, drugs, and alcohol among our youth. And then we have action item number 9, make recommendations on the city's efforts to reduce the use of tobacco, drugs, and alcohol among our youth. We have our category special projects, where action item number 10, share public education to the community regarding fire safety, support, review, and make possible recommendations for the city's ongoing efforts to safeguard Olivenhain and high-risk fire zones citywide.
Hold. I think we'd suggested deleting the first sentence because that was redundant.
Yep.
And I think we wanted to change this from an Olivenhain focus to a, lessons learned from the Palisades fire.
Was it safeguard against large scale and high?
The text is a little bit small for me to read from over here. I got it on this thing. No, it's the one that she's editing in real time. I think we have to do something where it's capturing lessons learned from the Palisades fire, right?
Yeah, I also agree. I don't think this is should be about Olivenhain. This should be about Encinitas as a whole, all districts. We just watched everything go to the beach. So Olivenhain, yeah, maybe it's our higher priority. But with canyons right back here, well, we don't want to be eliminating or omitting or misleading the public that we're only focused in on Olivenhain.
Right.
So
Maybe just take the words of Olivenhain and out. So just say, support, review, and make possible recommendations for the city's ongoing efforts to safeguard high-risk fire zones citywide.
What isn't a high risk? What isn't a high risk fire zone?
There are maps and
No, I
the different
understand that.
risks.
But I'm just saying from the Palisades experience, there were areas that you would not normally have considered high risk, right?
Correct, but I think what's interesting about the Palisades fire is there were a lot of infrastructure mishaps that happened. For example, the Santa Ynez Reservoir that was under construction, they were short 117 million gallons of water. That made a huge impact. The fact that that wasn't coordinated ahead of time, right, with the wind event and all the things. So I think as far as lessons learned, also, including, communication regarding critical infrastructure, I think, and that has to do with, again, safety zones, evacuation routes, water, water systems, and, just making sure that we, again, look at those lessons and make sure that we don't repeat things.
Should that language be in here?
I think and make sure, something regarding critical infrastructure, lessons learned from the Palisades fire regarding critical infrastructure.
Well, while we're on fire, Chief Gordon, you have a presentation March 3rd up in Olivenhain, right?
Correct. We have a wildfire prevention workshop on March 3rd, 6 to 8:30, I believe, in Olivenhain at the town hall.
Is that the kind of thing that this commission would be value added at for either us or the community?
It is open to the community. So if you guys would like to go, it is open.
I think we're free to go as individual citizens. and I highly encourage. I will be there.
And I read something from Supervisor Lawson-Remer's office about a meeting here today. Did that end up getting canceled?
Dan, I'm going to keep us on topic. I'm sorry, man. Like, I just want to get through this. I'm happy to talk about it afterwards. We're on 10 and we're moving on? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
So action item number 11, identify emerging opportunities group. Number 12, explore.
Can I just ask one question about that? I'm sorry.
Of course.
What does that mean?
Here's your moment, Commissioner Lauren.
Well, somehow this got pinned on me. However, I do think, for example, identify emerging opportunities group. We have, there's different groups like CERT, for example. That during large-scale incidents, you have, and they may very well have something like that, but, now with the Palisades fire, we might want to kind of look into, some community involvement in, helping, during those large-scale events when everybody's in drawdown. I think one of the things with the Palisades fire is, if one's happening, usually there's 3 or 4 in the same area, so you're not going to have all of your full-time resources there, and maybe there's a way to implement that so that we can keep our communities safe or safer. I think a lot of people would do, obviously we need to make sure that there's safety zones established and it needs to be in coordination, but that might be, it's a different time and the fires are just getting worse and the weather's getting worse. And we're going to have to start looking at it a little bit differently, I think. So I think those are good, like for ideas and emerging opportunities group. I mean, that would be one example. I think, do I have something specific in mind at this moment? Not really.
It was linked towards resource readiness, right?
Correct.
Previously.
Well, and again, along those same
I think it's a
lines.
carryover and it's a great opportunity to clarify it because it got in there. I don't know that we really did anything in 2024 underneath.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest, I think
specifically?
it's kind of redundant a little bit in
Right.
that there's a lot of that already in there. I think we could probably just delete it because we've already, said to identify, those things. Yeah, I mean,
It looks like number 5.
Yeah.
correct.
I do think
yeah,
that
agreed.
one thing that was mentioned when we first put together the 24 work plan was, what if something like COVID comes up? Do we need a catch-all so that we can address something that was unanticipated but clearly affects public health and safety?
I think it's captured in number 5, just fine.
I think that works for me, Dan, if we get rid of group. I think that's what kind of confuses it for me, right? So if our job is just to identify emerging opportunities, maybe opportunities is wrong, emerging threats, identify emerging public threats.
Opportunities and threats.
Right? Is that?
I would say it's super broad. I mean, regarding what?
Right.
To public health and safety.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually good for actually deleting it myself.
I just don't want Lois to come around and tell us that we can't talk about COVID or some COVID 2.0 or bird flu that's crossed over into humans or whatever.
Is that what's at risk there if we don't have something in there like that, Lois?
I mean, you are the Public Health and Safety Commission, so everything on this work plan is related to public health and safety.
I mean, I'm swayed the other way by Dan and what he said, but I'm open. That's 2 people that want to keep it there.
Let's leave it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think it hurts to keep it there.
Great.
Like you said, no one can project what's going to be happening up here in the next tomorrow. I mean, evacuation plans for all the horses, all that stuff. I mean, it's not specifically, but this organization is about the public health and safety. If we have to veer from that with with the powers that be saying, hey, this is in our scope, and it is only a recommendation,
Right.
you're just going to be told no, right?
Yeah. With your comments, Dan, it feels like we learned something in 2024 and we're not going to get hamstrung again. So I think that's a positive. Moving on.
Okay. Action item number 12, explore city's response to gun violence threats to the youth and community as a whole. 13, work with city
You
staff.
can get rid of, oh, are we capitalizing city all the way through?
Yes, city
Okay.
is an organization.
Yep. Thanks.
Work with city staff and partnering organizations to work on the recommendations from the calendar year 2024 work plan outcomes approved from the city council. The final category.
By that measure, would you capitalize the S in staff?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right.
And then the last category, advise city council. Action item number 14, present 2025 Public Health and Safety Commission proposed work plan on consent calendar. And the final action, present 2025 Public Health and Safety Commission work plan outcomes and recommendations.
So we want to have something in here that says implement the recommendations of the 2024 work plan.
I think it's number 13.
Is it? Was I just not paying attention?
Maybe.
What was going on? Thank you.
Maybe.
It's quite possible.
Lois, for number 14, given City Council's intention to give us detailed feedback, is consent calendar where you want to present that?
I was just going to say the same thing.
So it's up to city council to pull the item, but all of our work plans are on the consent calendar for commissions.
Oh, that's just what they do.
All right. I'll entertain motions to accept this.
Move to accept.
Second.
Is she good? She's there? You got it? All right. Go ahead and move to vote.
Motion passes unanimously with Commissioner Sales absent.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to recommend or just discuss 3 barriers to our improvement with the city council. The lack of having monthly meetings, trying to navigate the siloing of issues and sort of the redundancies of public health and safety across commissions like mobility, traffic safety, and the like, and also just the strategic leadership of allowing us to figure things out because we're smart people. We might we're open to what appears to be a new course, which is giving specific tasks to help guide our discussions moving forward, right? So is there anything else that you'd like me to communicate? Are you open with that? Okay, yeah, that's really nice. Dan, do you remember your questions you had for the fire chief?
We'd heard about a series of presentations from the county supervisor's office, and I think that one of them was scheduled for today here at one point. Does anybody know what happened to that, or are those things happening still?
Yeah, in the effort, I think, for their office to be proactive, they were looking through all the different meetings in the different cities. So Ranch Santa Fe, Encinitas, Solana Beach, and Del Mar all had some kind of Public Health and Safety Commission meeting or a wildland or wildfire protection presentation. And I think they just didn't do all their homework and make sure they vetted out every meeting. So this was a special meeting, so we weren't able to provide any of that kind of presentation here today. So
Is that the same kind of thing that's being talked about up in Olevenhagen next week, or are they two different things, or I just?
Yeah, it is a wildfire preparedness presentation on Monday night. Sorry?
The sheriffs wants to talk about their wildfire preparedness actions in the March meeting.
We'll be presenting at your meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question too, if I can, about, I had sent an email to Captain Watts about a discussion we had with him trying to get the sheriff to allow us to post some of their social media posts. Had he spoken to you about that at all?
He mentioned it this morning, and we're working with Lois to make that happen.
Okay. And like, where is that at? Like, what, maybe you can speak to it, Lois, I don't know.
Is that something that we want to talk about during our regularly scheduled meeting in March?
Yes, as it's not a calendar year 2025 discussion to talk about on the work plan, we can't really talk about it at
Oh, I
this
was just,
special meeting.
you were asking questions of the fire chief about meetings,
it's
so I
all-
just thought
it's all
I'd
good.
throw it out there.
I know, it was a good try.
See if I,
It's a good try.
I could talk to him after the meeting.
You can. I don't know if I can do this, but there's a member of the audience. Do I have the leeway to open this up for public comment? I don't. All right, I don't. Nothing else. As we've met what we were trying to do tonight, we got the draft work plan. This will get submitted to the city council. At the end of the day, they're going to do with it what they do with it, and we'll just follow in line. That's what the joy of being a public servant is, right? We just, toe the line, whatever they ask to do, the best we can.
When's your next meeting?
March 17th is the next meeting, regularly scheduled. For now, we're adjourned. I get to bang the gavel.
What time do we meet?
4 o'clock.
So 4 o'clock on March.
Facilitates the community grant program that awards $150,000